Whew, man, let me get this straight to the point, right? This iPhone 12 mini is probably the most fun I've had using an iPhone in such a long time. And I honestly feel this is Apple at their best and the essence of how really an iPhone should be. So let's dive into it, man. Into this first impressions of this polarizing iPhone 12 mini. Let's go. Hi, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. Now, before we go any further, I wanted to give a big shout out to Vodafone UK for supplying the iPhone 12 mini for review on loan. A link in the description below for all the latest deals on the iPhone 12 mini on Vodafone UK, so a big thank you to them. So away from that, man, I'm going to break it down and be as brief and as straight to the point as possible, as this is just a first impressions and more usage and testing on the iPhone 12 mini needs to be done before my full experience review. But already, man, since unboxing it and the shock I got from how much I enjoyed handling it, the iPhone 12 mini has surprised me daily, which is more than I expected for real. Firstly, the build and the design, and at the screen size of 5.4 inches and the small dimensions, it's already smaller than both the iPhone SE and the Pixel 4a, so it was already an instant red flag to me that I'm thinking those phones already felt that at their limit when it came to the size. But boy, was I wrong, because man, the size of this iPhone 12 mini just works. This more boxy throwback design that takes me straight back to the iPhone 5s, it really does feel like a proper modern refresh of the iPhone 5s, and man, I love it, I can't lie. Second, the glossy back. Now look, you've been on the channel many times, you've heard me say that if it's not a matte back, then I don't want it, but for some reason, and maybe it's down to this red finish colorway, but it doesn't really show fingerprints as much as I thought it does. It catches fingerprints. I mean, it's a glossy back, but man, away from that, man, the best part of it is that matte brushed aluminium finish on the frame, which honestly makes it so much more nicer, so much more comfortable to hold versus the glossy stainless steel that you find on the Pro models. And again, I've praised Apple with the new iPhones and genuinely iPhones in general when it comes to the button placements, but the button placements feel even better due to the smaller size of the phone, which again makes it so much easier to handle, so much better to have when it comes to one-handed movements and usage. This phone for the size should not be feeling this good to use, this nice to use, and this fun to use, especially for someone that I class myself more as a big phone user. But my goodness, man, I feel like this iPhone 12 mini is going against the grain and is really proving me wrong. Let's look at the display, and I'm so glad this time around with the display, Apple went all in OLED across the board. And look, I know the shortcomings of this display, right? The lack of high refresh rate, ProMotion 90Hz, 120Hz display, the notch feeling even more in a way due to the smaller screen size, and maybe let's just throw it in there, the lack of maybe a quad high definition, high resolution display. But who the heck cares? The 2340 by 1080p full high definition plus display at this 5.4 inch screen size feels so sharp and bright and tactile that it makes you forget the shortcomings straight away. Matched with the fact that it's a flat display and the top tier haptic feedback and the touch response makes this some of the most fun when it comes to using the display that I've used in a little while. And I thought this is where it was going to end. I thought, you know what, yeah, the display is only going to go as far as being this good, right? Because another thing that you've seen that I value a lot is I value a great typing experience. I kept saying to myself, man, this is where definitely the 12 mini is going to fall flat in the space and it's going to fail miserably. But again, guess who was wrong? Me. The speed and the accuracy in which I can type on this 12 mini, it seriously makes no sense. It makes no sense because I've actually seen at the screen size, I should not be having such a good typing experience on it. And honestly, I've used bigger display phones that have worse typing speed and accuracy and experience than this 12 mini. And I just kept telling to myself, man, look, this must be a trick. This must be a fluke. But day in, day out, it's so much fun to just pick up this phone and type on it. Moving over to the performance so far, when it comes to it, you know it, man, Apple didn't skip any corners on here. New A14 Bionic chip with what is designed by Apple based on their 5nm chip with 5G support. This is straight up the most powerful small phone you can buy on the market, no cap. Now the only difference you're really going to be seeing is that you do get 4GB of RAM on here instead of 6GB of RAM like you find in the Pro model. So maybe long term for intense app and task switching it might struggle, but again, I just want to drive this home, man. When you're in the flow of using it, I don't even think about these shortcomings because it moves along so nicely, and it just feels so easy, it feels instant, it just feels fun to use. Now the battery experience so far has been way better than I've expected. Now look, the iPhone 12 mini has been getting me through a day, but I'm gonna need more testing and more time with it because obviously the 2850 milliamp hour battery in here is small, right? The size of it, and that might be the expected drawback. I think maybe once I get into even more intense usage, it might not make it, but so far with my testing, with a decent day of consistently using it, I'm constantly on 5G as well. It's held up a lot better than I was expecting, and it hasn't passed out on me at the end of the day yet. So that's probably a good sign for it so far. Now software is running iOS 14 as we know, and I have to say this is where the real essence and the simplistic nature of iOS really makes sense and suits the size of this phone. Now I'm gonna mention some petty gripes in there. No thanks to Google and YouTube, for example. It's a shame that you can't do things like picture-in-picture mode when you have YouTube Premium on the native YouTube app unless you go through Safari. And also, again, the lack of true split-screen multitasking feels like a miss when you've got phones like the Pixel 4a that can do it. But I just want to drive that home again. When you're in the flow, when I'm in the flow of using it, man, all these shortcomings, I don't even remember them. They don't even cross my mind. And I don't know whether it's the case of having a smaller display, but it just feels like there's this perceived feeling of feeling faster than the 12 Pro Max. It's almost like having a smaller display, I can scroll through the home screen much quicker, making it feel like a much faster phone than what it is. Either way, man, iOS honestly makes so much more sense on this small screen, and it feels like this is the best showcase of the simplistic nature of iOS. Now, in terms of the camera, I've not really deep dived into using it as much, but you know how we do on the channel, man. Definitely expect an ultimate camera comparison test coming up very soon. But these are some of the differences that I've noticed. Obviously, hardware wise, there isn't a LiDAR scanner here. There isn't a dedicated telephoto zoom lens here. It's just the main wide 12 megapixel sensor with the new larger f1.6 aperture and the 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens at 12 megapixels as stated. It also does shoot Dolby Vision HDR, but they've limited it on here to 4K 30 frames a second rather than 4K 60, just like what you see on the 12 Pro model. So that's going to really be the difference here. And if I look at my experience with the iPhone 12 Pro Max camera, if it's anything to go by, then it's promising for the 12 mini, but more testing is going to be there for it very soon. I'm going to say this, man, very few phones prove me wrong or right, especially wrong. And very few phones naturally bring a smile to my face when I'm using it. I'm going to tell you this now, this iPhone 12 mini goes against everything I stand for and want in today's world when it comes to how I use a smartphone. Honestly, everything in me feels like I'm just being a pagan to the cause, but man, this iPhone 12 mini might just be one of my favorite iPhones that I've used in a very long time, you know. That is it for me, man. These are my first impressions of the iPhone 12 mini. What an interesting, polarizing little beast of a phone. Let's have a discussion in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the iPhone 12 mini, man? Which one do you prefer out of all the 12 series? This is really catching me in a different way, man. That's it for me, man. Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.